I'm sitting on our living room couch, completely frozen. My heart is pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat. My hands are shaking. Next to me sits Harper Chen, my wife's roommate. She's holding my hand, not romantically, not inappropriately, but protectively, firmly, like she's anchoring me to reality when everything else is falling apart. We're sitting close, too close for how it would look to anyone walking in without context, which is exactly what happens. The front door slams open. Grocery bags hit the floor with a crash, glass breaking inside one of them. My wife Lila stands in the doorway, frozen. Her eyes go from me to Harper to our hands to how close we're sitting. Her face transforms, confusion to shock to rage in about 2 seconds. "What?" Her voice cracks. "What is this?" Harper doesn't let go of my hand, doesn't move away, just looks at Lila calmly and says, "We need to talk." "Talk?" Lila's voice rises to a shriek. "You're holding my husband's hand on my couch and you want to talk?" I should explain. Should tell her this isn't what it looks like. Should defend myself. But I don't, because maybe this is exactly what needs to happen. Let me back up and explain how we got here. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. My name is Evan Mitchell, 32 years old, software engineer at a mid-sized tech company, married to Lila Hartley Mitchell for 3 years. We'd met 5 years ago at a mutual friend's party. Lila had been stunning. Tall, blonde, confident, the kind of woman who commanded attention when she walked into a room. I'd been surprised when she'd shown interest in me. I was decent looking, but nothing special. Average height, average build, slightly receding hairline I tried not to think about. Comfortable salary but not wealthy. Stable but not exciting. "You're different from the guys I usually date," she'd told me on our 3rd date. Less arrogant, more real. At the time, I'd taken it as a compliment. We'd gotten married after 2 years of dating. Nice wedding, good venue, about 100 guests. Her parents had paid for most of it. They had money. My parents didn't. The first year of marriage had been good, normal. We'd worked, come home, cooked dinner together, watched shows, had a social life. The second year had been less good. Lila had started making comments, little digs disguised as jokes. "Evan's not the most ambitious guy, but at least he's stable. I love that you're comfortable with yourself, even if you could definitely hit the gym more. It's cute that you're content with middle management. Some people need to aim high, some people are just happy where they are." Each comment had stung, but I'd told myself she was just being honest, that I was too sensitive, that successful, confident women like Lila were just more direct. The 3rd year, this year, the comments had gotten worse. It was a Tuesday evening in October. I'd come home from work around 6:30. Lila had been home since 4. She worked in marketing for a lifestyle brand, mostly remote work. The apartment was a mess. Dishes in the sink from breakfast, her clothes on the bathroom floor, coffee mugs on every surface. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with Harper Chen, Lila's college roommate. Harper worked as a graphic designer, also mostly remote. She kept to herself, was quiet and polite, paid her share of rent on time. I'd started cleaning up, not passive-aggressively, just cleaning, because someone had to, and Lila never did. Lila had been on the couch, scrolling through her phone, barely noticing I'd come home. "Hey," I'd said. "Long day?" Yeah. Maybe we could split the chores a bit more evenly? I know you're busy, but I'm also working full-time and it feels like I'm doing most of the housework." She'd looked up from her phone, eyebrows raised. "Are you seriously starting an argument about dishes right now?" "I'm not starting an argument. I'm just asking if we can share responsibilities." "God, Evan." She'd rolled her eyes. "You're lucky I even settled for you. Most women want a man with actual ambition, but here I am with someone who complains about housework. The words had hit like a slap. Lucky she settled for me. I'm not complaining, I'd said quietly. I'm asking for partnership. Whatever. She'd gone back to her phone. Just do the dishes if it bothers you so much. She'd said it so casually, like it wasn't devastating, like she hadn't just told me she'd settled for someone she considered beneath her. I'd stood there for a moment, trying to process. Then I'd gone to the kitchen and done the dishes. From the hallway, I hadn't noticed Harper standing there. Hadn't realized she'd heard everything. After the dishes, I'd gone to the second bedroom that doubled as my home office. Had closed the door. Had sat at my desk staring at my computer screen without actually seeing it. Lucky she settled for me. I'd known Lila thought she was out of my league. She'd made comments before about how her ex-boyfriends had been more her type. Lawyers, finance guys, entrepreneurs. Men who made six figures and drove expensive cars and looked like they belonged in cologne commercials. But I'd thought she'd chosen me anyway. Thought she'd decided those things didn't matter. Thought she loved me for who I was. Lucky she settled for me. The words kept repeating in my head. About 30 minutes later, there'd been a knock on my door. I'd thought it was Lila coming to apologize. It wasn't. Evan? Harper's voice soft. Can I come in? Sure. She'd opened the door carefully, stayed in the doorway. Harper was 29, Korean-American, petite, with long black hair usually pulled back in a ponytail. She wore comfortable clothes. Today it was leggings and an oversized sweater. She'd always been kind but quiet, the type of roommate who was there but not intrusive. I don't want to overstep, she'd said. But I heard what Lila said to you. I'd looked down at my desk. It's fine. It's not fine. It was just an argument. Couples fight. Evan. She'd stepped into the room, closed the door behind her. That wasn't a fight. That was her tearing you down, and it's not okay. She's just direct, honest. I'm probably too sensitive. No. Harper's voice had been firm. You're not too sensitive. She's being cruel. There's a difference. We'd sat in silence for a moment. You don't deserve that. Harper had continued quietly. No one deserves to be made to feel small in their own home, by their own wife. I appreciate it, but... Evan, listen to me. You're a good person. You work hard. You're kind. You take care of things around here, and she treats you like you're disposable. That's not okay. I hadn't known what to say. No one had validated my feelings in so long. Lila always made me feel like I was overreacting, being too sensitive, making problems out of nothing. Thank you, I'd said finally. Harper had nodded, started to leave, then paused. If you need someone to talk to, I'm here, okay? Okay. She'd left, closing the door softly behind her. I'd sat there thinking about what she'd said, about being made to feel small, about being treated as disposable, and about how Lila still hadn't come to apologize. The next morning, Lila had acted like nothing had happened. She'd woken up, gotten ready for her remote work day, made herself coffee, all while being perfectly pleasant. Morning, babe, she'd said, kissing my cheek as I'd stood in the kitchen. Sleep okay? Fine. Good. She'd grabbed her coffee and headed to the living room to set up her laptop. No apology, no acknowledgement, just business as usual. I'd gone to work, confused. Had she forgotten what she'd said? Did she not realize how hurtful it had been? Or did she just not care? That evening, I'd tried to bring it up. Hey, about last night. Oh God, are we still on this? Lila had interrupted. Evan, I was joking. Relax. I'm just being honest with you. Most wives sugarcoat everything. I respect you enough to be real. Being real and being hurtful are different things. You're being too sensitive. This is why I said you need thicker skin. In my world, people are direct. If you can't handle honesty, I don't know what to tell you. In my world. As if we lived in different universes, as if her professional marketing job made her more sophisticated than my software engineering position. I can handle honesty, I'd said. I can't handle being told you settled for me. I didn't say it like that. You said exactly that. Well, she'd shrugged. I mean, it's kind of true, isn't it? You know I usually date guys who are more ambitious. But I chose you because you're stable and dependable. That's a compliment. It hadn't felt like a compliment. Right, I'd said. Stable and dependable. Exactly. She'd smiled, patted my arm, and gone back to scrolling her phone. Later that night, after Lila had gone to bed, I'd been in the kitchen getting water when Harper had emerged from her room. Hey, she'd said quietly. How are you doing? Fine. Evan. I'd looked at her. Really looked at her. Her expression had been genuinely concerned, caring. Not great, I'd admitted. She doesn't even think she did anything wrong. I know. Harper had poured herself water, leaned against the counter. Can I tell you something? And you can't get mad at me for saying it. Okay. I've lived with Lila for 3 years. I was her roommate before you two got married, and I've watched how she treats you. It's gotten worse over time. What do you mean? At first, she talked about you like you were amazing, like she'd found someone special. But somewhere along the way, that changed. And now she talks about you like you're an inconvenience she tolerates. The words hurt because they resonated with something I'd been feeling but hadn't wanted to acknowledge. Why are you telling me this? I'd asked. Because you're a good person, Evan, and you deserve better than someone who makes you feel like you're not enough. 2 days later, on Thursday evening, everything shifted. Lila had gone out with her work friends, some networking happy hour that was mandatory for career advancement. She'd left around 5:30, said she'd be back by 10. Harper and I had both been home. I'd been making dinner, just pasta and vegetables, nothing fancy. Harper had been working in the living room on her laptop. You want some? I'd called out. I made enough for 2. Oh, you don't have to. I made it already. You'd be doing me a favor by eating some. Then yes, thank you. We'd sat at the small dining table, something that hadn't happened much. Usually everyone ate separately, at different times, in different rooms. This is really good, Harper had said after a few bites. Thanks, it's just pasta. Lila always orders takeout. I forgot people actually cook. We'd eaten in comfortable silence for a bit. Then Harper had set down her fork and looked at me seriously. Evan, I need to tell you something. And I've been debating whether I should because it's not my business. But I think you need to know. My stomach had dropped. Okay. Lila, she says things, when you're not around, to her friends, on calls, and I overhear sometimes because our rooms share a wall. What kind of things? Harper had taken a breath. She brags about how much you worship her, how she could do so much better, but you're convenient. She calls you her practice husband. Practice husband. The room had started spinning. That's not all, Harper had continued, her voice gentle but firm. She keeps dating app accounts, Tinder, Bumble. She says they're just in case and for validation. But she's active on them, messaging people, going on what she calls informational coffee dates with guys she matches with. I'd felt like I was going to throw up. How do you know this? She told her friend Lauren about it on a call last week. I heard the whole thing. She was laughing about it, about how you don't suspect anything because you're too trusting. Why are you telling me now? Because 2 nights ago, I heard her tell you that you're lucky she settled for you, and I realized, you don't know. You don't know how bad it really is, and I can't just watch this happen to someone who doesn't deserve it. I'd sat there, processing, everything suddenly making sense. The late nights, networking, the phone always face down, the way she dismissed my concerns as me being insecure. "I don't know what to do with this information," I'd said finally. "You don't have to do anything right now. I just thought you should know the truth. What you do with it is up to you." We'd finished dinner mostly in silence. Harper had helped me clean up, something Lila never did, and then had paused before going back to her room. "Evan, for what it's worth, you're a catch. Any woman would be lucky to be with someone who cooks dinner and washes dishes and actually cares about partnership. Don't let her convince you otherwise." After she'd left, I'd sat on the couch and pulled up Lila's Instagram. Had looked at her recent photos, tons of photos with her girlfriends, photos from work events, aesthetic coffee shop photos. Not a single photo of me in the last 6 months. I'd checked Facebook, same thing. Her relationship status still said married, but you'd never know it from her feed. I'd pulled out my laptop and done something I'd never done before, checked our phone bill, looking at text message logs, thousands of messages to numbers I didn't recognize, messages sent at all hours, more messages to these unknown numbers than to me. The evidence had been right there. I'd just been too trusting to look. Practice husband. Lucky she settled for me. I'd fallen asleep on the couch that night, too exhausted to move. Friday morning, I'd woken up with Harper's words echoing in my head. Practice husband. Could do so much better. Convenient and stable. I'd barely slept. Had spent most of the night staring at the ceiling, mind racing through 3 years of marriage, trying to figure out when exactly Lila had stopped loving me. If she ever had. Around 6 a.m., I'd given up on sleep and gotten up, made coffee, sat at the dining table with my laptop, and I'd decided to look, really look, at all the things I'd been too trusting to investigate before. First, our shared phone bill. I logged into the account, pulled up the detailed usage for the last 6 months. The text message log had been overwhelming. Lila sent an average of 200 texts per day. I'd scroll through, seeing numbers I recognized. Her mother, Katie, Lauren, Jennifer. But more than half the texts went to numbers I didn't know. Numbers that appeared repeatedly, at all hours, in patterns that suggested ongoing conversations. One number in particular showed up constantly. I'd cross-referenced it with our call logs. Over 40 phone calls in the last 3 months alone, many lasting over an hour. Calls made when she said she was at the gym or running errands or networking. I'd felt sick, but I'd kept digging. Next, I'd checked our shared iPad, Lila's primarily, but technically both of ours since I'd paid for it. She'd left it on the coffee table last night, unlocked as usual. I'd opened her Messages app, seen dozens of conversations I didn't recognize. Then I'd seen Tinder notification badges and Bumble, both apps installed, both showing unread messages. My hands had started shaking as I'd opened Tinder. Her profile had been active, photos I recognized, her at the beach last summer, her at a restaurant downtown, her professional headshot. But no photos of us together, no mention of being married. Her profile said, "Looking for someone who matches my energy. Adventure seeker, food lover, career-focused. Swipe right if you're ambitious and know what you want." I'd clicked on her messages, dozens of conversations, some brief, some extensive, one from 2 weeks ago. "Guy, you're gorgeous. What are you looking for on here?" Lila, "Honestly, I'm in a complicated situation, married but not happy, looking to see what else is out there." Guy, "I respect the honesty. Want to grab coffee sometime?" Lila, "Definitely. How's Thursday?" That had been the Thursday she'd said she had a work meeting that ran long. The day she'd come home at 9 p.m. saying she'd been networking. Another conversation from last month. "Different guy. Your profile says you're career-focused. What do you do?" Lila, "Marketing for a lifestyle brand." "You?" Guy, "Software engineering. Make pretty good money." "You?" Lila, "Comfortable. Could always be better, though." Guy, "I like your thinking. Ambitious women are attractive." Lila, "Thanks, I married practical, but I'm realizing I want more excitement, more ambition. Someone who's actually going somewhere. Guy. Sounds like you're ready for an upgrade. Lila. Maybe I am. I'd screenshot that conversation. And about 15 others that were similar. Evidence. Then I'd opened Bumble. Same thing. Active profile. Dozens of conversations. Multiple coffee dates scheduled or already completed. One message chain from 3 weeks ago had been particularly painful. Guy. So you're married? Is your husband okay with you being on here? Lila. He doesn't know. He's sweet, but honestly pretty boring. Comfortable, stable, but not exciting. I call him my practice husband. Like, I'm learning what I want from a relationship, so when I find the right person, I'll be ready. Guy. That's kind of harsh, lol. Does he suspect? Lila. No. He's too trusting. Thinks I'm always working late or at the gym. He doesn't question anything. It's actually pretty convenient. Guy. Well, his loss is my gain, I guess. When can I meet you? Lila. This Tuesday work? There's a coffee place near my office. Guy. Perfect. Can't wait to meet you in person. Practice husband. The phrase had been right there, written out for a stranger, not just something she'd said to friends. This was how she thought of me, how she described me to the men she was actively trying to date. I'd felt like I was going to throw up, had to close the iPad and just breathe for several minutes. When I'd calmed down enough, I'd started taking screenshots. Every dating app profile, every incriminating conversation, every message that showed she was actively cheating, emotionally at minimum, possibly physically. I'd sent all the screenshots to my email, to a cloud storage account she didn't have access to, multiple backups. This was evidence. This was proof that Harper had been telling the truth about everything. By the time I'd finished documenting everything, it was almost 9 a.m. Lila had still been asleep. She usually slept until 10 on Fridays since her work schedule was flexible. Harper had emerged from her room, found me sitting at the dining table with the iPad, my phone, and my laptop, all open around me, looking like I'd been through a war. You okay? She'd asked cautiously. I looked, I'd said, at everything, the dating apps, the messages, all of it. Harper's face had fallen. Oh, Evan. You were right, about all of it. She's not just keeping profiles for validation. She's actively dating, meeting men, telling them I'm her practice husband, planning to leave me as soon as she finds someone better. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry, you warned me. You told me the truth. Now I know exactly what I'm dealing with. What are you going to do? I don't know. Confront her? Leave? Part of me wants to just pack a bag and disappear without even having the conversation. Part of me wants to make her explain herself. Make her admit what she's been doing. Both are valid. There's no wrong choice here. What would you do? Harper had thought about it. I'd confront her. Not because she deserves the courtesy, but because you deserve the closure. You deserve to see her face when she realizes she's been caught. You deserve to hear her try to explain it, and then you leave. On your terms, not hers. What if she tries to gaslight me, tells me I'm crazy or paranoid or overreacting? You have screenshots, physical evidence. She can't gaslight you when you have proof of every lie. I'd nodded, feeling slightly more steady. Okay, I'll wait until she wakes up. Then we're having this conversation. I'll be in my room if you need backup. Just yell. Thank you for everything, for telling me the truth, for actually giving a damn about what happens to me. Of course I give a damn. You're important, Evan. You matter. Don't let her convince you otherwise. After Harper had gone back to her room, I'd sat there looking at all the evidence I'd compiled. Pages and pages of screenshots. Months of deception, years of her slowly eroding my self-worth while secretly planning her exit strategy. How had I not seen it? How had I been so blind? But I knew how. I'd been so desperate to believe she'd chosen me. So grateful that someone like her wanted to be with someone like me. I'd ignored red flags, made excuses, convinced myself that her criticisms were just honesty and her distance was just stress from work. I'd let her train me to accept breadcrumbs and call it a feast. But not anymore. Around 10:30, Lila had woken up. I'd heard her moving around in our bedroom, the shower running, normal morning sounds. She'd emerged around 11, dressed casually, scrolling through her phone as she walked to the kitchen. "Morning," she'd said without looking up. "Is there coffee?" "There's coffee. Can we talk?" "About what?" "Us, our marriage, what's really going on." She'd finally looked up, noticed my expression. "Are you seriously starting drama before I've even had coffee?" "I looked at the iPad last night, at your messages." Her face had gone pale. "What?" "I saw the dating apps, Lila, Tinder, Bumble. I saw the conversations, the dates you've been going on, the men you've been meeting. All of it." She'd stood frozen, coffee mug halfway to her lips. "You went through my messages? That's what you're focused on? Not that you've been actively cheating on me, but that I violated your privacy to find out about it? I'm not cheating. You're on dating apps, actively messaging men, meeting them for coffee and lunch, telling them you're looking for someone better than your practice husband. That's cheating, Lila. It's not what you think, then explain it to me. Explain the message where you told someone you married practical but want excitement. Explain telling multiple men that I'm boring and you're looking to upgrade. Explain any of this in a way that makes it okay." She'd set down her coffee mug, her hands shaking. "I don't have to explain anything to you. You had no right to go through my private conversations. And you had no right to make a mockery of our marriage while I thought we were actually building something. We are building something. No, we're not. You're auditioning replacements while I'm being a husband. There's a difference." Lila had tried a different approach, softening her voice. "Evan, you're misunderstanding. Those conversations don't mean anything. I'm not actually interested in those men. I needed validation, to feel attractive. The apps were just for my self-esteem. You met them in person. You had coffee dates, lunch dates. One of them you told you'd see again. That's not validation, that's dating. One coffee doesn't mean anything. Multiple coffees with multiple men, while lying to your husband about where you are means everything." She'd switched tactics again, now angry. "You know what? Fine. Yes, I've been on dating apps. Yes, I've met some people. Because you don't give me what I need, Evan. You're comfortable and stable, but that's all you are. Where's the passion, the excitement, the ambition? I married someone I thought would grow and change and become more. Instead, you're just you, forever. The same boring, predictable person you were 3 years ago. So this is my fault? I'm too boring, so you cheat? I'm not cheating. I'm exploring options, seeing what else is out there. That's not a crime. It's called infidelity, Lila. Whether or not it's physical, you're emotionally involved with other men. You're actively trying to find my replacement while still married to me. That's betrayal." "Oh, betrayal?" She'd laughed bitterly. "You want to talk about betrayal? What about Harper, your little roommate friend who clearly has a thing for you, who whispers in your ear about what a victim you are? That's not suspicious to you?" "Harper told me the truth about what you've been doing. That's called friendship, or basic human decency, neither of which you'd recognize. She wants you for herself. She's been poisoning you against me." "No, Lila, you poisoned yourself. Harper just held up a mirror so I could see what was really happening." The argument had continued for another 20 minutes. Lila cycling through denial, blame-shifting, justification, more denial. Never once actually apologizing, never once taking responsibility. Finally, I'd said, "I want a divorce." She'd stopped mid-sentence, staring at me. "You're not serious." "I'm completely serious. I want a divorce. I'm not staying in a marriage where I'm called a practice husband, where my wife is actively auditioning for my replacement. where I'm made to feel lucky you settled for me while you're looking for someone to upgrade to. Evan, don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being honest. Probably for the first time in months. I deserve better than this. Better than you. You deserve better? She'd laughed incredulously. Evan, look at yourself. You're a middle-level software engineer with a receding hairline who plays video games and watches cooking shows. You're not some prize. I was settling when I married you. The fact that I stayed this long is generous. And there it was, the truth. Finally said clearly, without the pretense of jokes or honesty. She'd actually said it. Confirmed what Harper had told me, what I'd already known deep down but hadn't wanted to believe. Thank you, I'd said quietly. For what? For finally being honest, for showing me exactly who you are, for making this decision really easy. What decision? The decision to leave. I'm packing a bag. I'm staying with my brother. File for divorce or don't. But I'm done. You're not leaving me. If anyone's leaving, it's you who's getting left. Fine. You can tell people whatever version of this story makes you feel better, but I'm done. We're done. And that's when she'd started crying. Real tears this time. Not manipulation tears. Realization that she'd gone too far tears. Evan, wait. I didn't mean that. I was angry. You can't just leave. Watch me. I'd gone to my office, grabbed the bag I'd packed yesterday, walked past her standing in the living room crying, and headed for the door. That's when Harper had come out of her room. Evan, Lila had started. Don't, Harper had said firmly, positioning herself between me and Lila. Just let him go. This is your fault. No, this is your fault. You did this. You destroyed your marriage. Own it. And I'd walked out, leaving Lila with her tears and Harper with her truth-telling, leaving behind a marriage that had been dead for longer than I'd wanted to admit. Walking toward something better, even if I didn't know what that was yet. Just knowing that anything had to be better than this. That evening, Friday evening, Lila had gone out again. Another work event. Another night where I'd be home alone. Except, I wasn't alone. Harper had been home too. Around 8 p.m., I'd been sitting on the couch, scrolling through the screenshots on my phone, trying to decide what to do. Harper had come out of her room, seen my expression. Do you want to talk about it? She'd asked. I don't even know what to say. Then just sit. You don't have to say anything. She'd sat down on the couch next to me, not too close, but close enough that I didn't feel alone. We'd sat in silence for maybe 10 minutes. Then Harper had spoken. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you still love her? Lila, I mean. After everything you know now, do you love her? I'd thought about it. Really thought about it. I love who I thought she was, I'd said finally. I love the woman I married. But that woman, I don't think she exists. Or maybe she never did. That's a really honest answer. What about you? I'd asked. You've been friends with her for years. Do you still like her? Harper had been quiet for a long moment. Honestly? No, she's changed. Or maybe I'm just seeing her more clearly. The way she treats you. The way she talks about you when you're not around. I can't respect that. I can't respect someone who degrades their partner. Then why do you still live here? Lease isn't up until January, and I guess I wanted to make sure you were okay. Someone needed to be looking out for you since your own wife wasn't. The words had hit me hard. Someone needed to be looking out for me. You don't have to do that, I'd said. I'm not your responsibility. I know I don't have to. I want to. You're my friend, Evan. And friends take care of each other. Friends, that's what Harper was. A friend who cared more about my well-being than my wife did. Thank you, I'd said, my voice thick. Really? Thank you. Harper had reached over and taken my hand. Not romantically, not inappropriately, just human connection. Comfort. "You're going to be okay," she'd said softly. "Whatever you decide to do, stay, leave, confront her, whatever, you're going to be okay, because you're strong enough to handle this." I don't feel strong. You are, though. You've been enduring emotional mistreatment for years, and you're still kind, still functioning, still showing up. That takes incredible strength. Her hand had stayed in mine, warm, steadying. "When was the last time someone told you that you matter?" Harper had asked. I don't remember." "You matter, Evan. Your feelings matter. Your happiness matters. You deserve a partner who sees your value, not someone who treats you like a placeholder." I'd felt tears building, had blinked them back. "You deserve better than her," Harper had continued. "You deserve someone who appreciates you, who doesn't take you for granted, who treats you like the prize you are, not like they're doing you a favor by being with you." That's when it had happened. Harper had squeezed my hand, leaned slightly closer, not in a romantic way, but in a supportive way. "If she can't see what she has, someone else will. Someone who will cherish you the way you deserve." "Someone like who?" I'd asked, not really thinking about what I was saying. Harper had paused, held my gaze. "Someone who already does." The moment had hung in the air, charged, meaningful, and that's exactly when the front door had opened. Lila had come home early. Her work event had ended sooner than expected. She'd walked in carrying 2 grocery bags, had stopped at the store on the way home. The bags had hit the floor, glass breaking, probably a jar of pasta sauce or something similar. But Lila wasn't looking at the broken groceries. She was staring at the couch, at me and Harper sitting close together, at our hands intertwined, at what must have looked, from her angle, like an intimate moment between her husband and her roommate. "What?" Her voice had cracked. "What is this?" I'd immediately pulled my hand away from Harper's. Stood up. "Lila, this isn't what?" she'd shrieked. "Isn't you and Harper cozy on the couch holding hands while I'm out working?" "We were just talking." "Just talking?" Lila's face had gone red. "Are you serious right now? With her? With my roommate? In my apartment?" Harper had stood up too, calm despite Lila's rage. "Lila, nothing inappropriate happened." "Oh, nothing inappropriate? You're holding my husband's hand." "I was comforting him," Harper had said evenly, "which is something you should have been doing." "Don't you dare!" "He needed support," Harper had continued, her voice getting stronger. "He needed someone to tell him he matters, and since you clearly weren't going to do that, I did." "Support? Support?" Lila's laugh had been ugly. "Is that what we're calling it now?" "Yes," Harper had said firmly. "That's exactly what it is, because unlike you, I actually care about his well-being." "Get out of my apartment," Lila had snarled. "Our apartment," I'd corrected. "I'm on the lease too." Lila had whirled to face me. "You're defending her? After I catch you two together?" "You didn't catch us doing anything," I'd said, my voice steadier than I'd expected. "We were talking, that's all." "Oh, really? Just talking? While she tells you she cares about your well-being? While you're holding hands, looking into each other's eyes?" "Yes," Harper had said, "because apparently someone needed to tell Evan the truth about how you've been treating him." Lila's expression had shifted, from rage to something else. Fear? Guilt? "What truth?" she'd asked carefully. "The truth about how you talk about him behind his back," Harper had said. "How you call him your practice husband. How you tell your friends you settled for him and could do so much better. How you keep dating apps active just in case." The color had drained from Lila's face. "Harper," I'd started. "No, Evan. She needs to hear this. She needs to hear what she's been doing to you." "How dare you?" Lila had started. "How dare I?" Harper's voice had risen for the first time. "How dare you? How dare you treat your husband like he's disposable, like he's lucky you chose him, like he should be grateful for your scraps of attention between your networking events and your Tinder conversations." Lila's mouth had opened and closed. No words coming out. You've been lying to him, Harper had continued. Meeting men from dating apps. Having informational coffee dates that definitely aren't informational. Telling your friends he doesn't suspect anything because he's too trusting. Well, guess what? He knows now. He knows everything. You had no right, Lila had whispered. I had every right. Someone needed to tell him the truth. Someone needed to care enough about him to be honest. The apartment had gone silent except for the sound of Lila's breathing and the still leaking grocery bag on the floor. Is it true? I'd asked, my voice quiet but clear. All of it? Lila had looked at me, tears forming in her eyes. Not tears of remorse, tears of being caught. Evan, I can explain. Is it true? She'd opened her mouth, closed it. Then finally, some of it. But it's not what you think. Which part? The part where you call me your practice husband? The part where you actively use dating apps? The part where you tell your friends I'm lucky you settled for me? I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. My voice had been surprisingly steady. You meant every word. And the only thing you're sorry about is getting caught. That's not true. Then tell me, I'd challenged. Tell me right now that you respect me, that you value our marriage, that you haven't been looking for someone better this entire time. She'd been silent. That's what I thought. Lila had turned her fury back to Harper. This is your fault. You poisoned him against me. You've been trying to steal my husband. I haven't been trying to steal anyone, Harper had said firmly. I've been trying to help a friend who was being emotionally manipulated by someone who claimed to love him. Friend? Lila had laughed bitterly. You're in love with him. That's what this is really about. You want him for yourself. Harper had paused. For just a second, I'd seen something flicker across her face. Then it was gone. What I want, she'd said carefully, is for Evan to be treated with respect. Whether that's by you or someone else doesn't matter. What matters is that he stops accepting being treated like he doesn't matter. You don't get to decide that, and neither do you. Harper's voice had finally risen to match Lila's volume. You don't get to decide that Evan should just accept being degraded, that he should be grateful for your presence, that he should ignore you actively looking for someone to replace him with. I wasn't looking to replace him. Then what were the dating apps for, Lila? What were the coffee dates, the late-night messages? What was all of that for if not to keep your options open while using Evan as a safety net? Lila had no answer. You kept him around because he was stable, Harper had continued, because he took care of things, because he was convenient. But you never actually valued him. You just valued what he provided. That's not true, isn't it? I'd asked. Tell me one thing you've done in the last 6 months that shows you actually care about me. One thing that wasn't just convenient for you. Lila had stared at me. We have dinner together. Dinner that I cook while you're on your phone. We watch shows. Shows you pick while scrolling through your dating apps. I went to your company party, where you spent the entire time networking with the executives and introduced me as my husband who works in IT, even though I'm a senior software engineer. Each example had been another nail in the coffin of our marriage. You've been checked out for months, I'd said. Maybe longer. And I ignored it because I didn't want to believe that the woman I married could be this person. But Harper's right. This is who you are. And I deserve better. Evan, Lila's voice had cracked. No, I'm done. I'm done defending your behavior. I'm done making excuses. I'm done being your practice husband while you audition for something better. Where is this coming from? This isn't you. This is me, I'd said firmly. This is me finally having enough self-respect to walk away from someone who doesn't respect me. Lila had looked at Harper with pure hatred. You did this. You turned him against me. No, Harper had said quietly. You did this. All I did was tell him the truth. If the truth turned him against you, that's on you, not me. Earlier that day, before Lila had come home, I'd done something I hadn't told anyone about. I'd packed a bag, just a duffel bag with essentials, clothes for a few days, toiletries, important documents, laptop, chargers. I'd left it in my office closet, hidden, unsure if I'd actually use it, but having it packed had felt like preparation, like acknowledging that leaving was a real option, not just a fantasy I entertained when things got bad. Now, standing in the living room with Lila and Harper, I made a decision. "I'm leaving," I said. "What?" Lila's eyes had gone wide. "Evan, no, we can work this out. We can go to counseling. I'll delete the apps. I'll be better. You'll be better because you got caught, not because you actually want to change." "That's not true." "It is true. If Harper hadn't told me, you'd still be on those apps, still having those coffee dates, still calling me your practice husband to your friends. The only difference is I wouldn't know about it." "Evan, please. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not staying in a marriage where I'm constantly made to feel like I'm not enough, where my own wife is actively looking for someone to replace me, where I'm told I'm lucky you settled for me." I'd walked to my office, grabbed the duffel bag from the closet. When I'd come back to the living room, Lila had seen the bag and her face had gone pale. "You already packed," she'd whispered. "You were planning this." "I was preparing," I'd corrected. "There's a difference. I wasn't sure if I'd actually leave, but now I am." "Where will you go?" "My brother's place. He has a spare room." "For how long?" "I don't know. Long enough to figure out what I want. Long enough to not be in a place where I'm constantly reminded that I'm not wanted." "I do want you." "No, you don't. You want the stability I provide, the rent I pay, the household management I handle. But you don't want me. Not really." Harper had been standing near the kitchen, watching silently. She'd caught my eye and given a small nod, proud, supportive. "This is because of her," Lila had said, pointing at Harper. "You're leaving me for her." "I'm not leaving you for anyone," I'd said. "I'm leaving you because of how you've treated me. Harper has nothing to do with that decision. She's in love with you. Even if that were true, it wouldn't change what you did. It wouldn't change how you treated me. It wouldn't make your dating apps disappear or erase the things you said about me." Lila had started crying then. Real tears this time, not just performative ones. "I'm sorry," she'd sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean any of it. I was scared of being boring, of being ordinary. I wanted to feel special, and I made terrible choices." "You made choices that hurt me," I'd said, repeatedly, knowingly, "and I can't trust you anymore." "We can rebuild trust." "Not right now. Right now, I need space. Space to think. Space to figure out who I am without someone constantly telling me I'm not enough." I'd walked toward the door, bag over my shoulder. Lila had followed me. "Evan, please, don't do this. Don't throw away 3 years of marriage." "I'm not throwing it away. You already did that when you started looking for someone to replace me." "I wasn't trying to replace you." "Yes, you were. And maybe you'll find someone better. Someone more ambitious, more exciting, more whatever you think you need, but it won't be me. Not anymore." I'd reached the door, hand on the handle. "If you walk out that door," Lila had said, her voice breaking, "don't come back. If you leave now, we're done. No second chances." I'd paused, looked back at her one last time. "That's the point," I'd said. And I'd walked out. I'd driven to my brother Derek's apartment, had texted him on the way that I was coming. He'd said his spare room was available, no questions asked, until I was ready to talk. Derek and his girlfriend Emma had been amazing, had set up the spare room, given me towels and blankets, ordered pizza for dinner. "You don't have to explain anything," Derek had said. "Stay as long as you need." "Thanks, man." "Is this about the stuff you mentioned a few months ago, about Lila making comments?" "It's about a lot of things, but yeah, that was part of it. For what it's worth, Emma and I never liked how she talked about you. We kept hoping you'd see it eventually. I did. Just took me longer than it should have. Around midnight, my phone had buzzed with a text. Unknown number. This is Harper. Lila gave me your number a while back. Just wanted to check if you're okay and let you know if you need anything. I'm here. No pressure to respond. I'd stared at that text for a long time. Harper had defended me, had told me the truth when it would have been easier to stay silent, had supported me when my own wife had torn me down, and had been accused of being in love with me because of it. Was Lila right? Was Harper in love with me? Or was she just a good person who'd watched someone be mistreated and couldn't stay silent anymore? I'd texted back, at my brother's place. Doing okay. Thank you for everything you did tonight. You didn't have to stand up for me like that. Her response had come quickly. Yes, I did. You deserved someone on your side. You've been alone in that marriage for too long. Not anymore. No, not anymore. Get some rest. Tomorrow will be better. I'd fallen asleep that night feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. Saturday morning, I'd woken up in Derek's spare room disoriented for a moment before remembering everything that had happened. I'd left my wife, walked out on 3 years of marriage, because she'd been treating me like I was replaceable while actively looking for my replacement. My phone had 17 missed calls from Lila, 9 text messages ranging from apologetic to angry to desperate. I'm sorry. Please come home. We can fix this. You're overreacting. Harper poisoned you against me. Fine. Leave. I'll find someone who actually appreciates me. Wait. No, I didn't mean that. Please call me. You're throwing away our marriage over a misunderstanding. How could you do this to me? To use? The messages had showed exactly what I'd been dealing with. No real accountability, just manipulation and blame shifting. I'd ignored them all. Derek had made coffee. Emma had made pancakes. We'd sat in their kitchen eating breakfast like normal people. What's the plan? Derek had asked. I don't know. Get a lawyer, I guess. Start divorce proceedings. You're sure? You don't want to try counseling first? I'm sure. This wasn't one mistake. This was a pattern, and I can't trust her anymore. Fair enough. I know a good divorce attorney if you need a referral. Thanks. Emma had squeezed my hand. For what it's worth, you're doing the right thing. No one should stay in a relationship where they're constantly disrespected. That's what Harper said. Harper's smart. I like her. You've never met her. I know. But anyone who tells you the truth when it's hard to hear is good people. She could have stayed out of it. Instead, she risked her living situation to make sure you knew what was happening. That takes guts. I'd thought about that. Harper had risked a lot. Her friendship with Lila, her housing situation, potential drama, just to tell me the truth. Why would she do that unless she genuinely cared? My phone had buzzed again, this time Harper's number. Lila's been rage-packing all morning. I think she's moving to her parents' house. Just wanted to give you a heads up in case you need to coordinate getting your stuff. Thanks for letting me know. Are you okay? Is she taking it out on you? She tried. I told her I'm moving out early. Found a sublet starting Monday. I'll be gone before the drama gets worse. I'm sorry you're losing your apartment because of this. I'm not. I'm gaining my self-respect. Staying in a place where I watch someone I care about be mistreated every day? That was costing me way more than rent money. Someone I care about. The words had hit me differently than they probably should have. Thank you. For everything. I mean it. You're welcome. Now go start your new life. The divorce process had started. I'd hired Derek's recommended attorney. Lila had hired someone expensive her parents paid for. She was contesting everything. Claiming I'd abandoned the marriage, claiming emotional distress, claiming that my affair with Harper had destroyed our relationship. There was no affair, I'd told my attorney, Michael. I know. We have documentation that you moved to your brother's house immediately. No contact with Harper beyond friendly text messages. But she's going to make it messy anyway. Let her. Her attorney is claiming that Harper interfered with the marriage. Harper told me the truth about what my wife was doing. That's not interference. I agree. And we have evidence of Lila's dating app activity, her messages with other men, her conversations with friends about you being her practice husband. All of that will make her claims look ridiculous. The legal stuff had been exhausting, but I'd been free. Actually free for the first time in years. I'd moved into my own apartment, a small one-bedroom, affordable on my salary alone. Had furnished it simply, had created a space that was mine. Harper and I had stayed in touch. Friendly texts every few days. Nothing inappropriate. Nothing that could be used against me in court. But gradually, those texts had become calls. Those calls had become coffee meetups, carefully public, carefully casual, carefully documented, in case Lila's lawyer tried to claim something inappropriate. "How are you holding up?" Harper had asked during one of these coffee dates about 3 weeks after I'd left. "Better than I expected. It's weird not being married anymore, but it's also peaceful." Peaceful is underrated. How about you? How's the new place? "It's good. Smaller than the old place, but it's mine. No drama, no tension, just my design work and my cat." "You got a cat?" I did. Named her Justice. Because she's small and fierce and reminds me to stand up for what's right. I'd laughed. "That's very on brand for you." I thought so. We'd talked for 2 hours that day, about work, about life, about everything except the obvious question hanging between us. What were we to each other? 6 weeks after leaving Lila, I'd finally worked up the courage to ask Harper directly. We'd been at a different coffee shop, our 5th or 6th meetup since I'd left, each one feeling more natural, more comfortable. "Can I ask you something?" I'd said. Always. That night, when Lila came home and saw us, she accused you of being in love with me. Harper had gone very still. She did. "Were you? Are you?" She'd been quiet for a long moment, stirring her coffee even though there was nothing to stir. "I care about you," she'd finally said. "A lot. More than I probably should have, given that you were married to my roommate. But I never acted on it. Never would have acted on it while you were married. I didn't tell you the truth about Lila because I wanted you for myself. I told you because you deserved to know. Because watching someone I care about be treated that way was becoming unbearable." "And now?" I'd asked. "Now that I'm not married anymore?" "Now..." She'd looked up at me. "Now I'm terrified. Because I don't want you to think I manipulated this situation. I don't want you to think I destroyed your marriage for selfish reasons. And I don't want you to feel pressured into anything just because I was there when everything fell apart. Harper, you didn't destroy my marriage. Lila did that all by herself. You just told me the truth. I know, but still." "But still," I'd agreed. "So where does that leave us?" "I don't know." "Where do you want it to leave us?" I'd thought about it, about how Harper had been the first person in years to make me feel valued, to tell me I mattered, to treat me with respect and kindness. "I want to date you," I'd said. "When the divorce is final, when there's no legal complications, when we can do this properly without it being used against me in court. I want to take you to dinner, a real dinner, not coffee, and see where this goes." Harper had smiled, a real, genuine, beautiful smile. I'd like that. "Yeah? Yeah. But Evan, I need you to be sure. I need you to be doing this because you want to, not because I was the first person to be nice to you after your marriage ended." "I'm sure. You're not just the first person to be nice to me. You're the first person in years to see me, really see me, and that means everything." She'd reached across the table and taken my hand. Just like that night on the couch. But this time, there was no wife walking in, no accusations, no drama, just 2 people who'd found each other in the wreckage of something broken. The divorce had been finalized 3 months ago. June 15th, a Tuesday. I'd gotten the notification from my lawyer via email while sitting at my desk at work. Final divorce decree filed with county clerk. Marriage legally dissolved, effective immediately. Congratulations on your fresh start. I'd stared at that email for 10 minutes, trying to feel something. Relief, sadness, regret. What I'd actually felt was freedom. Lila had gotten her half of our savings, about $22,000. I'd gotten the car since she'd already had her own. We'd sold what little furniture we'd owned together and split the proceeds. Clean break. No alimony since we'd both been working, and the marriage had been under 5 years. Her parents had tried to get her a better settlement, had hired an expensive attorney who'd claimed emotional distress, abandonment, infidelity by implication. My attorney, Michael Chen, no relation to Harper, had demolished every argument with documentation. Screenshots of Lila's dating app activity, her messages with multiple men, Harper's written statement about what she'd witnessed, the phone bill showing thousands of texts to unknown numbers. Your wife was actively dating other men while married, Michael had told Lila's attorney during one particularly contentious mediation session. She called him her practice husband to friends. She told him he was lucky she settled for him. If anyone has grounds for emotional distress claims, it's my client, not yours. Lila's attorney had backed down after that. The divorce had been surprisingly quick once her parents realized they weren't going to win a big payout. Lila had moved to Portland 3 weeks after the divorce was final. She'd posted on social media about her fresh start and new chapter with a guy she'd met on Bumble during our marriage. His name was Tyler. He worked in tech sales, drove a BMW, had a very strong jawline that featured prominently in all of Lila's Instagram posts. I'd blocked her on everything the day the divorce was final. Hadn't looked back. According to Derek, who heard from mutual friends, Lila had already been complaining within 2 months that Tyler wasn't as ambitious as she'd thought, and spent too much money on cars instead of saving. Some people never change. Some people spend their whole lives convinced the grass is greener, never realizing they're standing in a beautiful lawn and setting it on fire. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I'd started officially dating Harper 5 months ago. We'd waited, had been careful, had made sure the divorce was progressing smoothly before making anything public, had gone to therapy individually and then together to make sure we were building something healthy, not just rebounding from trauma. I don't want to be your rebound, Harper had said during one of our many serious conversations in those first months after I'd left Lila. I don't want to be the woman you chose because she was there when everything fell apart. I want to be chosen because you actually want me, not because I'm convenient or safe or just not Lila. You're not a rebound, I'd said. You're the person who saw me when I was invisible, who told me the truth when it would have been easier to stay silent, who made me realize I deserved better. That's not convenience. That's everything. We'd taken things slowly, coffee dates that carefully didn't look like dates, dinners in groups with Derek and Emma, long phone conversations that were definitely just friendly. Until finally, 3 months after my divorce was filed, Harper had looked at me over coffee and said, "So, are we doing this? Actually doing this?" "I want to," I'd said. "Do you?" "I've wanted to since the night Lila walked in and accused us of having an affair. I've wanted to since before that, if I'm being honest. But I needed to know you were sure, that you'd had time to process, that choosing me was a real choice, not just the easiest path forward. It's a real choice. You're not the easiest path. You're the right path. There's a difference." She'd smiled, that beautiful, genuine smile that lit up her whole face. "Then yes, let's do this. Officially. Like, I'm going to change my relationship status on Facebook official." "That's very official." "It is. Can you handle that level of commitment?" "I think I can manage." We'd gone on our first real date 2 days later. Dinner at a nice Italian restaurant, the kind with tablecloths and wine lists and waitstaff who didn't rush you. I'd worn one of my better shirts. Harper had worn a green dress that brought out her eyes. "I'm nervous," she'd admitted as we'd been seated. "Me too." "This is weird, right? We've known each other for 3 years. We've lived together, we've had meals together hundreds of times, and now suddenly it's a date and I'm nervous like we're strangers. It's different now. Before, we were roommates who became friends. Now we're… whatever this is. Whatever this is, she'd repeated, smiling. I like that. No pressure. Just seeing where this goes. Except we'd both known where it was going. Had known since that night on the couch when she'd held my hand and told me I deserved better. Had known when she'd stood up to Lila and defended me. Had known when she'd texted me that first night at Derek's place just to make sure I was okay. We'd been building toward this for months. We just hadn't been able to acknowledge it until the divorce made it possible. That first date had turned into a second date the next week, then a third, then regular weekly dates that became twice-weekly dates that became seeing each other almost every day. Derek and Emma had loved her from the first time they'd met her as my actual girlfriend, not just the roommate who told me the truth. She's perfect for you, Emma had said after our first double date. She actually listens when you talk. She laughs at your jokes. She looks at you like you're the best thing in the room. That's what love is supposed to look like. It's early, I'd said. We're not saying the L word yet. Maybe you're not saying it, but you're both feeling it. Trust me. Emma had been right. I'd been feeling it. That terrifying, wonderful, all-consuming feeling of falling in love with someone who actually saw me, who valued me, who chose me not because I was convenient or safe, but because she genuinely wanted me. I'd said it first, about 3 months into officially dating. We'd been at my apartment. I'd moved into a new place shortly after leaving Lila, a one-bedroom that was smaller but entirely mine. Harper had been helping me hang some artwork we'd bought together at a local gallery. To the left a bit, she'd said, standing back to assess. No, that's too much. Right a tiny bit. There, perfect. I'd stepped down from the chair I'd been standing on, looked at the artwork, an abstract piece in blues and greens that Harper said reminded her of the ocean. And then at Harper, who was smiling at the wall with satisfaction. I love you, I'd said. She'd turned to look at me, eyes wide. What? I love you. I know we said we'd take things slow. I know it's only been 3 months. But I love you. And I needed you to know. Evan, you don't have to say it back. I'm not saying it because I need to hear it. I'm saying it because it's true. Because you make me happier than I've been in years. Because you saw me when I was invisible and told me I mattered when I'd forgotten. Because you're kind and funny and smart and you laugh at my terrible jokes and you actually want to spend time with me. And I love you for all of that. Harper had been quiet for a moment, tears forming in her eyes. Then, I love you too. I've been scared to say it because I didn't want to rush you or make you feel pressured. But I've loved you since before we started dating. I've loved you since that night we sat on the couch and I held your hand and realized I'd do anything to make you understand your worth. I love you, Evan. We'd kissed then. Really kissed. Not the careful, tentative kisses of early dating, but the deep, certain kiss of two people who'd found each other and weren't letting go. That had been 2 months ago. Now we're at my apartment again. It's a Saturday evening in late August. Hari. I just needed someone to see it.